Yeah, I'll log in there in a sec myself. It's taking forever to get there, but we'll get there.
There we go.
Okay, we should be looking at, well, you should be looking at us, guys. If you're in the show, if you're on YouTube, then I think despite the white circle of death that I have on my screen currently, it looks like we are now live and free on YouTube. And it's good afternoon or good morning in his case to Ash. G'day, mate.
Hello, buddy. Hello. How's things with you?
Mate, I'm a little bit excited, I've got to say.
Oh, that's good.
There's a lot of stuff going on, a whole lot of stuff going on. And I'm not saying it's easy peasy, but gee whiz, there's a lot of setups. Really is.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
I've got the Euro on my screen straight away, but I'm not sure. I'm just not sure that this is happening the way it should. Let me try again. Okay. I appear to have YouTube on my screen. I need to get rid of that, I think. Yep, there we go. All right, so.
Oh, there we go. We're live. That's good. That's good. Yeah, the Euro, interesting. We were just having a quick chat off air, weren't we? And just sort of saying that actually looks, it does look like, I mean, I was talking about the sell yesterday, but actually today looks like a definite prospect. I mean, that's all it looks like right now, but it looks like a prospect if it breaks through that trend line there.
Yeah, look, I'm with you today. I wasn't with you yesterday because I thought that well, pretty much what happened is what I had in my mind. I definitely see the prospect here now, and there's really even a bar there that would suggest that it's tradable. But, you know, again, I've got to wait here. We've gone too far above the high of that bar to suggest that there's a reasonable place to put your stop here. So for that reason, I'm just thinking, okay, we do not want to go short just yet. With the, well, there's a bit of FOMO about that if you wanted to trade that. But my real trade would be, pardon me, while I choke to death, my real trade would be, and this will be a double banger, if price does get below that trend line, as you say, and then comes back and retests the confluence area of daily pivot, monthly pivot, and trend line, then you've got a great reason to go short.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, I completely agree. I'm looking at that. I'm seeing a head and shoulders pattern, which looks a little bit bullish in some respects as a head and shoulders pattern, but still, you know, when we go to the dailies, we're at a definite area which could give us some resistance. Well, it has given us some resistance. The question is, does it break down from here, really? Drivers today, interesting yesterday, because we had an announcement from Beijing which suggested that we could actually, we've still got your YouTube screen up, by the way, mate.
Have we?
Yes.
I'm not sure how I fix that, but let me try.
Yeah, so we had Beijing coming out and saying that they were not too keen on the deal right now, but it sounds a bit of horseplay going on between China and America, and that's better, and that seems to be likely to continue. And the market did push to the downside, but it all of a sudden got swallowed up and pushed back up again. And I'm looking at the FTSE this morning. I'm just thinking, let's just buy it up, and actually, it's just about to pop up by the looks of things. So
it's kind of, everything else has gone nuts, and we spoke about this yesterday. And can the FTSE just ignore the rest of the markets for how long can it happen?
Yeah,
before it just has to catch up.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the question in my mind.
Absolutely. It looks to me prime for a climb, to coin a phrase. And I can't see what's going to bring this back. Beijing coming out and saying that the deal was kind of difficult to garner, and then we start popping up. On top of that, we had a meeting between President Trump and Jerome Powell. And obviously, President Trump's continuing to express the fact that he believes that the dollar is way too strong.
When was that, mate? Was that overnight?
Oh, yes. So I guess You know, the interesting thing really yesterday was we had the Chinese news, and then we had Donald Trump sort of announcing that he had this meeting with Jerome Powell, and I think the market was waiting for an announcement to suggest that Jerome Powell would, finally bring rates down, or suggest that there could be some easing back, but he didn't. And I think that's the key thing here, is that Jerome Powell continues to say that he's listening to the data, or
Yep.
watching out for the data.
Standard answer.
Yeah, it's a standard. He's got, his standard line that he's sticking to. But what I thought was quite fascinating was that the markets, can continue to hold. But if he's saying that, then surely that's going to give the dollar some strength rather than some weakness. I don't see weakness continuing really with the dollar off the back of that. That doesn't sound too bearish to me.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Didn't know that, but I was of the opinion, and the very strong bias that I was getting from, I don't know, I guess Sunday night we were talking about it on the what do you call that show? Sunday night show, I suppose. That'll do for now anyway. And the main theme seemed to be dollar weakness, and I don't see that. It's not in my sights right now. I absolutely see the reverse of that, to be fair.
I'm just going to grab the screen really quickly, man. It might be a trade here
sure.
in the FTSE, unless you have something. We've got a long, so everybody gets set up for a long. And let me show you what I have. So the market is struggling here, but I quite like the long, and the long was going to come from this trend line here. That trend line there. So let's see if we can get into the market here. Let me bring it on here so you guys can see it. But if it touches this level here, I'm going to see it's going through. Now you can obviously sort of you can put your stops under the have around about a 12 pip stop under the daily pivots. There's one of two ways we can play it. We either play the long from the touch, or we wait for a bar to show us it's reversing. Obviously, better to wait for the bar to show us it's reversing. So we might end up doing that, but really just to kind of just to illustrate to everybody that the long looks pretty good from this particular level. So let's watch it for a little while. The reason I think we probably initially I was just thinking let's just go long, but actually the weekly and daily pivots do exist down here, and that is a much better spot for that support level. So let's just watch out for that. Wouldn't be so keen to play the breakout. It may well just go without us, without kind of touching, because it has touched this horizontal level, and this is kind of indicative of a strong market. But I think we wait for our price here. Touch here and a reversal bar, we're in. A touch here is even better, and a reversal bar, we are in. So let's just wait on this. We're looking for the price of 6 back on yours. Let me just see what it would be on everybody's chart here. Where are we at? FTSE. Where are you? I've got to check the cash for everybody. Here we go. 6 back. So 70. It looks like 73.20 would be 73. Yeah, 73.20 is one entry. And my pivots are down 17 pips. So you're looking at 73.20 or 73.10 is where I am looking for the market to touch and turn. Let's wait for those prices. That looks all right though. So we may well lose this one, but with some positivity here. But I don't think we should play it. I think we've got to be very careful, just because there is still some tension out there. But this market looks pretty primed to want to explode. So if it explodes, it may well have to. We may just have to let it go. But it certainly, as I say, looks pretty well primed right now to want to get a move on. And we do have a potential rally right into the end of the week, really. So let's watch out for this and see what happens. I don't think at this stage it looks like it's going to touch. Anybody wanting to trade this bar, you would have to put probably your stops at 25 pips down at the low of the pivots, because there's still a chance it could turn around and test where it one of these other levels. But that as a shallow test is pretty bullish. So it's just going to be one of those things. But I'm waiting. I'm not going to trade that on a break or at price right now. I want it here or I want it here. I quite like the fact that it's it's attempting to go now, because that does suggest that at this stage that the more shallow level is more likely. And it might be maybe it's later in the day, possibly it's 10 o'clock UK time. If it's coming back here testing this trend line along with that, then that'd be fine. The thing about this is that this is a breakout level. So if it does go here, there is a likelihood that we get something which would reverse and give us this price anyway. So if we don't get a touch here or a touch here, then we will let it go and see if it comes back at us. But let's see what happens. Come on, let's come on down for us just a little bit. It's got to really happen in the next in this 5-minute bar, because otherwise, if it starts to do it on the 15, then the 15 is going to look too negative to enter on. This 15-minute bar is going to look way too negative to enter on. So we can't really kind of follow that one. So we do need it to touch back probably in this next 3 minutes to give us a trade. But we are waiting, mate. I don't know. Oh, come on. Is it going to come? Maybe it's not going to come in the next few minutes. Who knows?
Well, hang in there till the 3 minutes goes by, mate, and then we'll come back and have another look at this euro. Gee, I think there's some possibilities around the place. I'm going to have a look at euro yen in particular in the next few minutes. I'm very tempted to place an OCO on euro yen. I can see some strong possibilities either way.
Yeah.
Tricky, but yeah, I think it's there.
That sounds good. So overnight we had the Dow continuing to make in all-time highs. I will watch this FTSE on a different chart, so don't worry.
And once again, that would have been third Monday of the month, right? That trade still keeps working.
Yes. That was the S&P.
Am I stupid, or do I just? I don't know. I forget about that all the time. I never take it, and it wins every time.
Yes, yeah, it does seem to win a lot, doesn't it? Yeah, third Monday of the month, and the S&P put in another buying bar. The Dow is the same. It also closed at near actually yesterday.
What is it? It's S&P, not the Dow, isn't it?
It's the S&P. Yeah, it's the S&P trade.
Right. So that's still going. You close on the first
profitable close.
Right?
So you would have closed it this morning.
Oh, would you?
Yes. Yeah. So because if it if it opens at its low and closes at closes above its open, then it's the first profitable close on the same day.
Cool. One day I'll trade that, and I won't tell anybody, because guess what? The minute I do, that's the one that lose.
I mean, it loses so rarely. It's an incredible statistical probability on that one. It really is quite something.
Actually, that's a question for Julian next Sunday. I'm going to ask him the question: where does he find these? Is that research, or is that something that's freely available?
Do you know what I would suspect? I think Julian. I think it's in a way it's probably a combination. I think it is research, but I think he researches so much that he comes across maybe bits of information, and then it's like, oh, that's interesting. But he would have probably tested it after hearing it, because there's so many claims out there, aren't there?
Like the holiday trade. That's another one, and that's a popular one. That's not an out of the blue one where you trade positively into the holiday and negatively out of it, if you want to go that way. Interesting. And that's, to me, the seasonality thing that everybody's on at the moment. And for good reason. I've got no problem with it at all. Is very much a focal point where you then get to concentrate for a little bit on, well, hang on a minute, let's actually take a good look at this. What does happen on Christmas Eve? What does happen on Easter Eve? And
Oh, absolutely, yes, yeah. I mean, I have to say that the seasonality is the only reason, to my mind, that this FTSE is holding on. The Dow is has an incredibly strong November traditionally. and the FTSE is pretty good. The S&P is very good. The Nasdaq's good. So I think that's why it's holding on. I don't see any other reason really that the FTSE should be moving up. I mean, it's, you know, I think that the news and data is pretty bad. I mean, when you not the news and data, more the events actually, pretty bad when you sort of like consider that there's no deal going on yet with China. The disruption in Hong Kong is just at breaking point. And you know, you start looking around and just thinking, well, what's driving this market? And because of that, I'm thinking it's not going to take a lot for it to come in the opposite direction.
I was going to say that begs the question: are the other markets wrong? You know, are they rising in, I won't say in agony, but yeah, I'll say in agony. Are they actually going in the wrong direction right now? Let me put that back to seasonals, I suppose.
Yeah.
What are the seasonals telling us on the S&P and the Dow?
Oh, that they're telling us that November is a very, very strong month.
Right. I know it is coming into Christmas, but it starts now, doesn't it? Right. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. We tend to take a bit of a dip. I think we're going to miss this trade, mate. I think you know, it looks to me like this might just burst forward without us, which is kind of so be it. I mean, as you always say, there's always another opportunity. Yep. Let's have a look at the seasonal pattern. So for the FTSE in November, it tends to be fairly bullish. When we look at the S&P, this is November again. Pretty steep curve, you know, towards the middle, towards the end of November. Then it starts to slow down a bit before it starts to dip a bit in December. Same with the Dow and the same with the Nasdaq. So, you know, if we look at the German, the DAX as well, exactly the same. So really, all ships seem to rise in this tide, and I think that's where we're at. This is a Nikkei also posting some positivity during November. Same with the Hang Seng, which you know, for me is probably the most fascinating. So we should be looking at the longs really. You know, there's not really anything else that we can do here but look for long. But this FTSE, as I say, looks like it's off to the races now, and I think we probably can hold on until maybe the next 2 weeks, and then we can look to trade it in the opposite direction at the start of December instead.
Yes, that's not looking like a bearish bar, is it?
No, I think this is going. As I say, it feels ready today. You know, the point really with the FTSE is can you get a decent price, and the decent price is obviously the lowest possible point. But you know, at this particular stage, the lowest possible point was down here, and it just didn't really kind of come back. So that one's going and gone, I think.
Looks that way. Yep.
Okay, mate. Well, that's it for me.
That's you. See ya.
I don't think there's anything else anybody can do. I do have some longs, obviously, in the market that I can now start to manage, which is good for me. But I can't justify giving everybody a poor price to get in. I mean, not a massive difference, but still, you know, that's just one of those. So this market is going and gone, as I say.
Yes, absolutely. Looks that way. Wonder, is the pound going to reciprocate in the opposite direction? We shall see. All right, let's take a look at some currencies then. This may not be a very long show today, but I do see some possibilities. So I am looking for a control panel at the moment, and I can't find one. That's interesting. Oh, there it is. That might help. I hope I don't crash Ash out like he crashed me out before. Actually, I'm getting back in. I'm getting back in very quickly now. It's only a one button press. Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm going to go back to the euro very, very briefly. And look, I am both ways here, and that's going to be a common theme throughout. As I said before, this is now potentially a short coming up. But whilst ever it's above the monthly pivot, and let's face it, we've had a break and retest of that. That's not really a trend line on the 4-hour chart for me, but it is on a smaller time frame. So let's go to that smaller time frame, show you what I'm talking about. So really, we've had a break and retest of that area. The interesting part is we've failed, once we've bounced off that area, to match the high, and put that together with the reversal bar, now a bearish engulfing bar. it's starting to look very much like a short coming up for me. And if this bar is bullish and decisive in 15 minutes time, sorry, that's the hourly chart, 30-minute chart's what I need to look at. Same thing. If this is bullish and decisive, did I say bearish? I meant bullish. If it's bullish and decisive when this candle closes, it will be very difficult for me not to place a short order underneath it. But guess what I've got to do? I've got to break my rules to do it. And I won't do that. That's frustrating. What's the rule? The rule is I don't trade into the low of the day without taking profit. And I don't think that's available to me. That's just 1 or 2 pips away by the look of it. Yeah, 2.5 pips. Not going to happen. That's really a shame. And, you know, like Ash, I may well miss this going down. But the real opportunity here will come like this if it affords me that. It'll be break and it'll be retest. In the meantime, taking out the low of the day, which is very, very important. Would I be concerned about this level here? I probably would. So best case scenario is take all of that out, then come back and test here. Then I think there's a short on the cards, and these are obvious target. So it'll depend exactly on how you get in, what source candle you've got, blah, 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 blah. But I think that's probably the way I want to go with the euro today. I'm not going to trade this as a break of the trade line because of that level there, the low of the day. And that's probably it for the euro. Do I want to get long at any stage? Look, yeah, happy to do that. And here's how that will work. That will be an easy one for me because all we need to see is that break, same, hit a support level, any support level. That one I drew here would be cool, but even the low of the day would be cool. Consolidate a little bit, get back above the trend line that was broken and retest it at that beautiful confluence area, monthly pivot, daily pivot, trend line, all happening there. That's a long for sure at that point. So false break or break retest. That's what I'm looking for here of that trend line. That is the play of, well, there's 2 potential. That's the play or the both potential plays that I want to take on the euro today. So very, very clear what I need to do on the euro. Let's go take a look at a couple of others. I'll go straight to euro yen actually, because this one has me absolutely captivated. And the reason for that, I'm on the 4-hourly chart here, but I'll go to the daily chart first. Daily chart is showing me a bounce off the top of this ascending channel, which is, and I know it's getting long in the tooth, but essentially it's still a bear flag for me. And I'll just explain that a little bit further. If you have a look at what price has done on its way down here, we've seen retracement here that's taken 1, 2, 3 spots before it went. Another retracement here, 1, 2, 3 spots before it went, maybe even 3.5, maybe even 4.5. Another retracement here, 1, 2, and then it went. And we've got 1, 2. Is this the go or is it not? That's the question that I have in my mind. Or are we have we reversed? That's also another question, of course. My take on this is very, very mixed, and I'm going to show you why. We've got inverted head and shoulders here. We've broken the neckline, wherever you want to put the neckline. Let's call it there. We've broken it, we've retested, we've come back above it, but we've failed to go on with the job. This is very, very interesting. I'm absolutely captivated by it, as I said, because of all of these reasons that I'm just pointing out. The other thing I see is we've come off the top of the range being the ascending channel, and also the rectangle. We've bounced there a few times, then we've broken clear, hit the monthly pivot, come back, but not yet closed inside there, which is very, very interesting. And in the meantime, put in a lower high off the tops here. That to me is the bear signal that maybe we need to cut this short. So that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it, and I know this is a very, very wide angle that we're looking at here. So let me close it up a little bit. So I'll just repeat that. Double top here, maybe a triple top, and bounce lower high off these tops inside that channel, which is arranged to me. So that's telling me short, and that's telling me breakout material. So to me, that's probably the trade that I would have liked to have taken this morning. I didn't, and I'll explain to you why in just a sec. The other way to look at this is that we have come back, or have we come back inside the range? That's the question mark that I have. Barely, I'd say. And then once we've done that, what we're looking for is a higher low. So are we seeing that on the 4-hour chart? Yes, we are. We absolutely are. And that, as a bounce off the weekly pivot, is an amazing trading opportunity where you can trade from the bottom to the top. There's also a break and retest of this ascending, resistance trend line, and a perfect slingshot setup to go long here. The problem I would have with that is I would have to enter there. I'd have to put my stops there in the initial trading scenario, but now I'd have to sneak my stops down below this swing, which is 72 pips. My reward is only 60 odd pips, and that's if I get through these two levels here. So it's a really, really interesting scenario that I've got here. I've got the market telling me there's a potential long. I've got the market telling me there's a definite short. And which one do I take? That's the question that I've got. Longer the stronger. Do you take the short? Well, the reason I didn't take the short on this morning was pretty clear. We're trading straight into the weekly pivot, and look exactly what's happened here. We've hit the weekly pivot and we've bounced straight back off it, gone to the daily pivot and gone no further, which is interesting. Do I now place a short underneath this bar and put my stops above the original bar? And I think the answer to that is probably. The only thing I need to do is make sure I get out of this for profit just before the monthly pivot. So that looks okay to me. Yes, TP1 is a little bit meager. It's about a third of our risk, but our next level is not quite 2 to 1 before we get to the bottom of that channel. So that's kind of okay. I'm kind of okay with that. And when I look at the structure here, that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing double top and lower low, maybe lower low. That's the question mark. And now lower high. So I hope I've confused the heck out of you guys, because that's exactly how it is. It's really confusing. But if you stick with the longer, the stronger, then I think there's a strong case for the downside. The question mark is, of course, where do you take profit? Well, you've got to get off. You've got to get something off before the monthly pivot, in my humble opinion. You've also got to break and retest of the monthly pivot. This does look to be a shorting opportunity to me. I just need to be safe, I think, and get my entry underneath this bar rather than where initially I would have had my entry. But it's when I look at this trend line here and I see 3 high test bars sitting on it, I think, oh my God, this is such a beautiful slingshot setup to trade long. Do I now go OCO? Do I place a long and a short at the same time? That's my dilemma. What I finished up doing, guys, this morning, mind you, was deferring the euro yen to the Aussie yen. Now we had, and I've still got an entry short on that. And I did say at the time, there'd probably be a better opportunity to get into this. This was the same scenario that we were facing with this was a definite lower low and a definite lower high. So I'm in many ways a better setup. It's also now a false break of the resistance trade line, and we're clear of the pivots. That's what I do like. So I think now what I need to do is place an order underneath this bar here. Where I put my stops is the question. Once again, we've got an issue here because price has gone through where our stop loss would normally be. Did I say before I started this that there was an interesting scenario?
You
It
did.
sure is. It sure is. I can make a case for a lot of trades here. I really can. It's just getting in the right one is the trick here. Where do I put my stops here is the big question. Do I just go above the daily pivot? Do I go above the weekly pivot? Do I put them above the swing where my stop is on this entry? I think the answer to that is probably that's the safe place. That gives me about, what, 60 pips, I think, from memory. I did measure that earlier. Yeah, 65 pips of risk, and I'm trading straight into a support level at 10 pips. Can you see my dilemma, guys? It really is a frustrating scenario that I'm faced with here. That's why I've got my entry below that support level. Yes, I'm trading straight into this low here, but I don't think that low is going to hold. If we attack that again, I think that's gone, and we'll be down here at these levels, and that's where my TP1 is. So, mate, I think there's a definite better entry than what I've got here on Aussie and short, but I don't think that's it. I think it's probably up here somewhere. Maybe let it get up to the weekly pivot, then give me a lower high, then look to trade it from there. I think that's the way to go here. So I'm not going to move my entry. I'm going to keep it where it is just in case it goes without the retracement that I'm looking for. But the retracement that I'm looking for is up here around about the weekly pivot. I'd probably accept the daily pivot if I got the signal, but the weekly pivot's the way to go, I think. So, wow, isn't it interesting? Now, then you go to dollar yen, where I've also got not so much a dilemma because I only want to trade this short, don't want to trade it long. But what I do here is also a mixed bag. Let me get rid of something here. I've got a false break scenario of the resistance trend line. Let me get rid of this one because I don't think it's helpful. You can see that scenario. I've got a lower low, I've got a lower high, and we've stopped at this level for whatever reason. We've stopped at this level. I don't know what that level is. It's not that strong as far as I can tell. So I'm a little bit confused by that. But I'm looking for an entry here. And again, frustrating because there's the entry underneath this bar here for me. That would necessitate a stop above the weekly pivot here again. But look what price has done. It's just consolidated since, and I'm now uncomfortable with that trade. I don't know what to do, Ash, with this one. I think I'm just a wait and see guy at the moment.
Yeah.
Dollar yen.
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? And it's I mean, we're risk off. We're risk on. Certainly today, just looking at the FTSE. So the yen doesn't look like a potential prospect. Again, back to the seasonality. The seasonality doesn't suggest a long yen at this particular stage either.
No, it doesn't. Why am I hanging on to it then? I think, I've been a bull yen for I don't know a couple of weeks, and it just doesn't happen.
No, well, there must be something in the chart pattern that you like. Well, there obviously is something in the chart pattern that you like.
There's something somewhere. Well, clearly, I'm now looking for three shorts: euro, Aussie, and dollar, all against the yen.
Do you know what's interesting as well? That the yen does suffer during November, but as does the dollar. The dollar's not particularly strong during November. You might be kind of fighting.
Race to the bottom.
Yeah, in a way, it might be picking the worst, which may be some of the issue here as well. But yeah, I mean, I know you've liked the yen for a long time, and I don't think there's certainly nothing wrong with that. But the seasonality doesn't suggest a strong yen. The way the markets are going right now doesn't suggest a strong yen either, which is going to make things a little bit tricky as well, I would suspect.
Okay, I've just gone back to the euro. I assume you can see that on my chart.
Yeah, we can see that.
Okay, cool. As I said before, I'm not going to trade a spinning top here, no matter what. But I can't trade into that low. So again, what I need to see is price break here, take out these lows as well, then come back and test that confluence area, and that will be a trade. There's definitely a trade there, short, if that were to occur. I haven't really spoken about the pound too much, and the reason I haven't is it's kind of in the similar scenario to what you were looking at on the FTSE, mate. Is that still going? Still headed north?
No, it's retracing now, so there might be an opportunity in a
Okay.
10 pips or so's time, but it's not there yet. So I'll give you a holler if it shapes up. Everybody can see that their FTSE chart retracing. You're still looking for a long, but about 10 pips below where we are now. So
happy days. This is confusing to me. It looks to have just gone straight back into its shell, as it has done, you know, on many occasions, as you can see through here. It just doesn't know what to do. But again, going back to a bigger picture, it's performing absolutely technically brilliantly, because it's it's just following structures, and that's fantastic. And again, we've probably got a new structure here. If I look at the daily chart, where this is now turning into a box range as well as a rectangle, a channel. So I think I can probably take my pick here, which structure I really want to look at. That probably starts, let's say there. Don't know really where to tighten that up to, but it's in there somewhere. So I'm kind of thinking, if we don't get a pullback here, this is gone. Again, same as you, Ash. I think this has gone to here. I can't see both the FTSE and the pound exploding north at the same time, however, I've got to say. And this does look to be a very, very strong push to the north side on the pound. When you see a very strong, and I can't really call this a trend yet, well, although it is, we're getting higher highs and lows. When you see a very, very strong trend, it's very, very difficult to call reversals. These are more like, as my good friend Roy calls them, zero retracement. So you're kind of thinking this has got room to move to the high side. Definitely, I can't trade that from here, however. So I'd like to see this come back to the bottom of the range, then maybe have a crack. So I'm looking for a false break of that trend line, I guess. And that's probably where I'm at on the pound. But, mate, I'm going to have to wait on these. I've already got one order in the market, as I said. If you're interested in that, guys, we're a long, long way from entry, and I'll give it to you anyway. It's entering short Aussie yen at 73.51. The stop loss is 82 pips. I'm going to take a third off the table at 30 pips, which is this level here. And I'm going to let the rest run and see what happens. Why? Because I think there's potential for this to go and challenge these lows again at around about the 71 mark. So there's probably 300 pips available here for a risk of 80. So we could get a decent result here if it does go. Of course, it's got to break this level. Simple as that. But, you know, if you look at the bigger picture, this is still in a massive downtrend, really is still in a massive downtrend. So the rejection of this trend line once again suggests to me that we are going to see a little bit more downside. That's where I'm at, mate.
Yeah, I think this FTSE is going to play a bit of havoc. Now, I would suggest that this market is so strong, everybody does just want to get in, but it's not really kind of shaping up for that right now. I'll show you what we got very, very briefly. There's a level where it's resisting at, which could be problematic, but really we're not looking for it to come all the way back down here. It's around about 7 pips away, just a couple of pips from this point here. You're looking at the touching the high of this bar, and then just getting the long in the market with a stop around about 16 pips down. If you can get it. Now, it is, you know, slightly problematic, and I would be putting stops at break even as soon as you possibly can get them, because the thing with it is now, the thing with it is that there is a daily chart here which is showing that there's some potential resistance right along here. You know, we can see it's not so much this point here, but it is this point here. It's struggled here previous to where we are now. Might be cleaner on a 4 hour. Actually, you can see support, was resistance, and we're basically back there again. So it needs to take this level out. But I have to say, it's looking okay to do that right now. I mean, it's not quite as attractive as taking out the original trend line where we were, which did happen yesterday before the move back down again. But it looks pretty good. So I think a retracement down around about 10 pips, even from where we are now, would be better. You know, I wouldn't be so keen to try and sort of call it from here, because I think that there's a lot of pressure here. You know, this is on a 4 hour chart, so it's not a minute time frame. Yes, it is a little bit more fractal, but we do need to kind of respect that you know, 4 hour chart is something that people do watch and people do trade. So I'll be looking for a little bit lower before encouraging people to get in. But definitely want to be long in this market, and you're probably looking all the way up here to start with, and possibly where my original target was, which was off the weekly, and that's touching this trend line. But that's got obviously a long way to go before that. But certainly seeing the highs one more time before looking like reversal, I think would be good. So looking for you know, something of around about 50 or 60 pips from where we are now. So try and get a good entry, but I would encourage everybody to try and get in if you can. Don't force it, but if you can and you can make it safe, then, as I say, I would encourage it, because I think there's some further upside in this market, probably for the next week or two, or maybe week and a half is more accurate.
Happy days, mates. I'm just in summary looking for the euro to break short, and I want to see it break the 110.55 level, and then retest the monthly pivot, daily pivot, and support trade line. If that were to be the case, there's a short on for me. The bigger positions I've already mentioned a couple of times. I think there's strong potential on euro yen to get some money, and maybe even dollar yen.
I really like that too.
Yeah.
I really like that too. I think the euro's a great trade. I'm in complete agreement with you on this one. I like the short. And if we are looking at ultimately this euro going long, I think that's okay too. But I think that we can get a short before it does go long. I was a day early yesterday, evidently, and maybe it's another day early. Who knows? But I think there's every chance we could sell into that first ECB meeting with Christine Lagarde. And I think now that we are under the daily pivot and the monthly pivot, I think this is a good trade. And I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to enter at the low of this bar with a stop at the high. I think that would be okay, 20 pips in that area, and then looking for the weekly pivot as a potential area to reverse that particular trade. But yeah, I'm completely with you, mate.
There you go. There's two ways to trade it, guys. Let's see tomorrow if we've got both of them in the bank. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'd encourage you to trade Jeff's way, because Jeff is much more efficient on the euro
you want, guys,
than I am. My way is very FTSE specific, so it's just the way that I look at the chart. But I'm looking at it in the same way that I'd approach the FTSE, and currencies are a different animal. So I would encourage you to trade the slingshot if you can get that set up.
You know what the really cool thing would be? You could have taken profit by the time I actually looked to enter the market. So there's probably good cause for both scenarios.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's check it out tomorrow, mate. See what happens.
Will do. All right, I'm done. How about you?
Nice one. Yeah, I'm done too, mate. I'm done too. We're just going to watch this market. I'm kind of enjoying the fact that we are. I apologize, I couldn't get you guys in, but for my mind, I've been waiting for this long to kind of happen for a while, so I can now clear some decks, which is quite nice for me. So you know, as I say, apologies that I couldn't get you guys into it, because it looks like it might well go, but we will be looking for the reverse of this particular move in the coming weeks anyway. So so it's not all done by any stretch.
Right, mate. Have a great rest of Tuesday, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow at when?
At 5 to 8.
5 to 8 UK. Okay, that's a date. Don't be late, guys. We'll see you then. Have a great Tuesday.
See you then, guys.
Bye.
See you,
Bye
Jeff.
for now. See you, mate.